The moment I feel the ground shift beneath me, I know I've made a terrible mistake. I'm 200 feet below the surface in an unexplored section of the Carpathian Karst system when the tremor hits. Not major, maybe 4. Low, but underground, that's all it takes. The sound comes first, a deep, resonant crack that reminds me of artillery fire in Fallujah. Then the vibration, traveling through limestone and into my bones. "Walker, you feel that?" Santiago's voice echoes from around the bend. "Get back to the main chamber," I shout, already moving, my headlamp beam bouncing wildly across ancient stone. "Now!" The passage narrows as I run, my pack scraping against the ceiling. Pebbles rain down, then chunks. A stalactite crashes inches from my boot. I duck, muscle memory from another life taking over. The ground bucks again, harder this time. 20 feet ahead, the passage joins the main chamber where we'd set base camp, where Lena and Dr. Kovic should be cataloging the Paleolithic paintings we discovered yesterday, where our primary gear cache sits, where our only mapped route to the surface begins. I round the corner just as the ceiling comes down. The collapse is fast and brutal. One moment there's a passage, the next there's a wall of rubble and dust so thick I can't see my hand in front of my face. I pull my shirt over my nose, choking, eyes burning. "Santiago!" I scream, but my voice is swallowed by falling stone. "Lena! Kovic!" The rumbling stops. The dust hangs suspended in my headlamp beam like fog. The silence that follows is absolute, primordial, the silence of being buried alive. I sit with my back against the wall, counting breaths until the adrenaline stops making my hands shake. 10 minutes, 20. The dust begins to settle. My training takes over. Assess the situation, inventory resources, establish priorities. Same as in the sandbox, just a different kind of hell. My pack contains 1 liter of water, energy bars, first aid kit, spare batteries, thermal blanket, knife, 30 meters of rope, carabiners, helmet with headlamp, gloves, the waterproof case with my maps. The maps. I pull out the case with hands that won't quite steady. Inside is the detailed survey we've been creating over the past week, the only complete documentation of this cave system that exists. Our lifeline. I click on my radio. "Santiago, do you copy? Lena? Kovic?" Static. I try again on all channels. Nothing. I'm alone on the wrong side of the collapse, in an unmapped section of cave. The others either made it out, or they're trapped elsewhere, or worse. I push that thought away. I study the maps, tracing possible routes. There's a theoretical connection to the surface through the northeastern passages, but it's unexplored, just dotted lines and question marks. It might be a dead end. It might be impassable. It might be my only chance. I fold the maps carefully, return them to their case. I need to ration my light, my water, my food. I need to stay calm. I've survived worse. Afghanistan, Iraq, the IED that left shrapnel in my leg, and nightmares in my head. "One step at a time, Walker," I mutter to myself, just like always. I shoulder my pack and move deeper into the darkness. Day 2. I've been following a small underground stream for hours, hoping it leads somewhere with access to the surface. Water always finds a way out. That's what they taught us in training. Follow the water. The passage has narrowed to a crawl space barely wider than my shoulders. My headlamp illuminates crystalline formations that would be beautiful if they weren't scraping my back raw. I'm moving on elbows and knees now, dragging my pack behind me. The air is getting stale. Not dangerously so, not yet, but there's a heaviness to it that worries me. If this passage dead ends, I'll have to backtrack for hours. My watch says it's 3:17 a.m. Time means nothing down here, but I'm keeping track anyway. Routine is survival. I learned that in Helmand Province, waiting in a hide for 3 days to take out a target, count the hours, mark them, own them. The crawl space widened suddenly into a chamber so vast my headlamp can't reach the opposite wall. The air feels different here, cooler, fresher. There must be another entrance somewhere. Hope flickers. I set up a minimal camp on a flat stone shelf above the water. 1 energy bar, 3 careful sips of water. I check my maps again, trying to triangulate my position based on the features I've passed. According to my calculations, I should be somewhere beneath the eastern ridge. The area is marked with question marks and unexplored. As I'm studying the map, water drips from the ceiling onto the paper. I move quickly to protect it, but more drops fall. The chamber's humidity is condensing on the cold stone above me. Before I can get the map back into its case, a large drop hits directly on the ink. The colors begin to bleed. No, no, no. I frantically try to blot it dry, but it's too late. The water-soluble ink we used for field notations is dissolving, turning the precise lines into watercolor smudges. I watch in horror as our week of careful surveying disintegrates in my hands. Within minutes, what's left is barely legible, just vague outlines and smeared notations. The case protected our original survey of the main chambers, but all the new passages we'd mapped, including where I am now, are gone. I sit in stunned silence, watching the wet paper tear as I try to separate the pages. The magnitude of what's happened sinks in slowly, like cold seeping into bones. I'm lost in an unmapped labyrinth with limited supplies and no clear way out. For the first time since the collapse, real fear grips me, not the sharp, useful fear of immediate danger, but the deep, gnawing fear of knowing you've made a fatal error. I force myself to breathe. Panic is a luxury I can't afford. I need to sleep, to conserve energy. Tomorrow I'll keep following the water, I'll find a way out, or die trying. But as I curl up on the cold stone, wrapped in my thermal blanket, all I can think of is the miles of darkness surrounding me, pressing down, waiting. Day 4. I've lost track of the stream. Yesterday it disappeared into a siphon, a passage completely filled with water. I could have tried to dive through, but without knowing how long the underwater section is, it would be suicide. Instead, I backtracked and took a different branch, climbing upward through a series of tight chimneys that left my muscles burning and my fingertips raw. Now I'm in a maze of dry passages with no water to follow. My own supply is down to half a liter. I've been rationing it carefully, small sips every few hours, but dehydration is setting in. My tongue feels swollen, my urine dark. Hunger is a constant companion, but thirst is the real enemy. The passages all look the same: tan limestone walls, occasional formations, endless branching choices. Without my maps, I'm navigating by instinct and memory, trying to maintain a consistent direction. I've been leaving small cairns at junctions, but I'm not sure they'll help if I need to backtrack. This place is a labyrinth. My headlamp flickers occasionally now, a warning that the batteries are starting to fail. I have spares, but those won't last forever either. The thought of being in absolute darkness down here. No, focus on the immediate, one passage at a time. I rest frequently to conserve energy, but each time it's harder to get moving again. My body aches from crawling, climbing, squeezing through restrictions. The old shrapnel wound in my leg throbs constantly. In the silence, my mind drifts to places I've spent years avoiding. I see Ramirez's face as we pulled him from the burning Humvee. I hear Martinez screaming for his mother as we waited for the medevac that came too late. I feel the weight of the decisions that kept me alive while better men died. "Stop it," I say aloud, my voice startling in the silence. "Stay present." I force myself to inventory my supplies again, though I know exactly what remains. 3 energy bars, half a liter of water, failing batteries, useless maps. Not enough. As I pack up to continue, my hand brushes against something etched into the stone wall. I aim my light at it and freeze. It's a crude arrow carved into the limestone, not natural, human-made. My heart pounds as I examine it. The edges are weathered, old. This wasn't made by my team. This was made by someone else, perhaps decades or even centuries ago. Another lost soul, leaving a message. I follow the direction of the arrow, moving faster now, scanning the walls for more signs. There's another arrow 50 meters ahead, then another. They're leading me upward, through a series of chambers I would have missed otherwise. The passage narrows again, forcing me to crawl. My headlamp illuminates something ahead, a different color in the stone. As I get closer, I realize what I'm seeing. Roots. Tree roots penetrating from above. Where there are roots, there's soil. Where there's soil, there's surface. For the first time in days, I feel something like hope. Day 7. I haven't found the surface yet, but I've found water. The root system led me to a chamber with a small seep, groundwater trickling through the ceiling. I've collected enough to refill my bottle and rehydrate. The relief is indescribable. I've also found cave crickets and have eaten a few, gagging but grateful for the protein. The arrows stopped 2 days ago. I've been following my own logic since then, always moving upward when possible. The passages have become increasingly tight and difficult. Twice I've had to remove my pack and push it ahead of me to squeeze through restrictions. My body is failing. I've lost weight I couldn't afford to lose. My muscles cramp constantly from dehydration and overexertion. Small cuts and abrasions cover my hands and knees, some showing signs of infection, despite my attempts to keep them clean. Last night, or what my watch claimed was night, I thought I heard voices, Santiago calling my name, Lena laughing. When I called back, the sound echoed mockingly. Auditory hallucinations, a bad sign, sleep deprivation, or the beginning of hypothermia, or both. I'm conserving my headlamp battery now, sitting in darkness for long periods, then using light only to move forward. The darkness is absolute, consuming. In Iraq, even the darkest nights had ambient light, stars, distant fires, the glow of civilization. Here, darkness is a physical presence, pressing against my eyeballs, filling my lungs. In the dark, the memories come stronger, not just the war now, but everything. My father teaching me to climb, my mother's funeral, the look on my ex-wife's face when I came back from my 3rd tour, a stranger wearing her husband's body. The reason I started caving in the first place, seeking a different kind of darkness, one I could conquer. When the batteries die completely, I'll be truly blind. How long before I lose my mind? How long before I curl up and wait for the end? No, I've survived too much to die in this hole. I force myself to my feet, ignoring the protest of worn muscles. I click on my light, treasuring the beam. The passage ahead looks promising, an upward slope, slightly wider than what I've been traversing. I move forward 1 step at a time. Day 9. I found a bat today, a single small brown bat hanging from a ceiling crevice in a chamber I crawled into. The sight of it sent a surge of adrenaline through me, so powerful I nearly passed out. Bats mean access to the surface. I watched it for an hour, waiting for it to move, to show me the way out. When it finally stirred, I followed its flight through 3 chambers before losing it in a complex junction. But its presence alone has renewed my determination. I'm close. I have to be. My supplies are nearly gone. 1 energy bar, a 1/4 liter of water. The spare batteries are in use now, and they won't last much longer. My body is consuming itself. I can feel my strength ebbing with each hour. But knowing I'm near an exit has given me a second wind. The passages have been trending upward consistently. Twice I've felt slight air currents, another promising sign. I've been marking my path obsessively, leaving cairns and scraping arrows into the soft limestone when possible. My thoughts are clearer today than they've been in a while. Proximity to rescue has burned away some of the fog. I find myself thinking about what comes after, if I make it out. Will I ever enter a cave again? Will the darkness always remind me of these days of isolation and fear? In Afghanistan, after the ambush that killed half our unit, I swore I'd never go back. 6 months later, I was deployed again. Some compulsions run deeper than fear. As I rest, conserving energy and light, I think about Lena, Santiago, and Kovic. Did they make it out? Are there search parties looking for me? Or did the collapse take them too, leaving no one to report us missing? I pushed the thought away. Focus on what you can control. The next passage, the next step, the next breath. When I click my headlamp back on, the battery is noticeably dimmer. I have perhaps 8 hours of light left, at most. I need to find the exit before then. I shoulder my pack, lighter now, without the weight of food and water, and continue upward. Day 11. I'm writing this by the light of my dying headlamp. Yesterday, I reached what I thought was my salvation, a vertical shaft stretching upward, with daylight visible at the top. Actual daylight, blue and beautiful, perhaps 40 meters above me. I could see clouds passing, hear the faint sound of wind. I spent hours trying to climb it. The walls were nearly vertical, with few handholds. I used every technique I knew, every ounce of strength I had left. At my highest point, I could feel a breeze on my face, smell pine and earth and freedom. Then the handhold I was gripping broke away. I fell 15 meters, landing hard on the slope floor below. The pain was immediate and overwhelming. My left leg bent in a way legs shouldn't bend. The sound, a wet snap, will haunt whatever dreams I have left. I dragged myself to a level spot and assessed the damage. Compound fracture of the tibia, the bone protruding through skin, the same leg that took shrapnel in Fallujah. Field medicine isn't pretty, but it's all I had. I used my knife to cut away the pant leg, my shirt for bandages, a broken stalactite to splint the break. The pain nearly caused me to black out multiple times. I can't climb with this injury. I can't even stand. The exit I fought so hard to find is unreachable. My headlamp has perhaps an hour of life left. My water is gone. The hunger has become a distant concern, overshadowed by thirst and pain. This is how it ends, then, not with a bullet or an IED, but alone in the dark, in a place no human was meant to be. I find myself thinking of the person who carved those arrows I followed days ago. Did they make it out? Or am I following the ghost of another lost soul, our skeletons to be discovered centuries from now by some future explorer? The pain comes in waves now. When it recedes, there's an odd clarity. I'm not afraid anymore. After days of fighting the darkness, there's a strange comfort in surrendering to it. I think of all the times I should have died but didn't. Kirkuk, Kandahar, the night raid outside Mosul. I've been living on borrowed time for years. My light flickers, warning me that darkness is coming soon. I should conserve what's left, but I keep writing. These words might never be read, but they're all I have left to give, to whoever finds this. Tell Santiago I was right about the northeastern passage connecting to the surface. Tell Lena the Paleolithic paintings were worth the risk. Tell my sister Emily I finally found my peace. The darkness is coming. I am not afraid. Day 12. I wake to voices. At first I think it's another hallucination, the delirium of dehydration and pain. But the voices grow louder, more distinct. Then there's light. Not the fading yellow of my headlamp, but the bright white beams of multiple lights sweeping the chamber. Here! I'm here! My voice is a dry rasp, barely audible to my own ears. The lights swing in my direction. Figures move toward me, their features obscured by the brightness behind them. Walker? A familiar voice. Santiago. Jesus Christ, we found him. Over here. Hands touch me, gentle but urgent. Someone lifts my head, presses a water bottle to my lips. I drink greedily until it's pulled away. Easy, easy, not too much at once. Lena's voice, thick with emotion. You're going to be okay. The relief is so overwhelming I can't speak. Tears cut tracks through the grime on my face. Compound fracture, severe dehydration, probable infection. A voice I don't recognize. A rescue medic, I realize. We need to stabilize him before transport. Santiago kneels beside me. His face is gaunt, scraped raw on one side. We thought you were dead, man. The collapse. Kovic didn't make it. We barely got out. It took days to organize a rescue team and find another way in. How did you find me? My voice sounds strange to my ears. You're Cairns, and this. He holds up a familiar waterproof case. We had copies of the maps at base camp. We've been searching for 10 days. 10 days. It felt like a lifetime. As they work to stabilize my leg and prepare me for extraction, I drift in and out of consciousness. The pain is still there, but dulled by morphine and the knowledge that I'm no longer alone. The route out is arduous. A stretcher carried through tight passages, hoisted up shafts, passed hand to hand through restrictions. Every movement sends fresh agony through my broken leg, but I don't make a sound. After what I've endured, this pain is nothing. When we finally reach the surface, it's night. The stars above are so bright, so numerous, I can't look away. The air smells of pine and earth and coming rain. The wind on my face feels like a caress. They load me into a waiting helicopter. As we lift off, I catch a last glimpse of the cave entrance, a dark mouth in the mountainside, nearly hidden by vegetation. From the outside, it looks so insignificant, so harmless. Santiago sits beside me in the helicopter, shouting over the rotor noise. What happened down there? How did you survive? I think about the darkness, the solitude, the moments of despair and clarity. How can I explain what it felt like to be truly alone, to face death and make peace with it? How the cave stripped everything away until all that remained was the essential core of who I am. I just kept going, I say finally, one step at a time. He nods, understanding more than I've said. He's seen his own darkness. As the helicopter carries me toward lights and people and the complicated world I left behind, I look out at the vast night sky. After days of claustrophobic darkness, the openness above me is almost frightening in its immensity. But I'm not afraid, not anymore. The darkness taught me that I've always carried my own light. Sometimes it flickers, sometimes it nearly fails, but it never quite goes out. One step at a time. That's how we survive. That's how we find our way home.